welcome to Match Day 7's review. It was a massive round, a few massive fixtures in there. I know Tony and I already covered the United game, but Tony, you do have a few more things to say. So we're going to jump straight into that. It was the early kickoff. United 1-1 with Everton. Give us your rundown, Tony.
Obviously, you say things in the emotion. I've had time to think about everything. I honestly think I'm not Ole out. I'm going to support Ole Wise here, but I do think he's taken the club as far as he can take the club, and I'll let you boys debate that. But that's where I'm at the moment. I think we do need that new manager. Whether it comes this year, probably not. But I think he has run his course in how far he can take the club.
Do you think that if you were to get a new manager, it would be a big person like a Conte, or would they go after a Rooney or someone like that?
I think it's got to be big. I think we've learned our lesson bringing Ole in. We brought someone in with not a lot of experience. And yes, he's fixed issues we had, but we're kind of at a stalemate at the moment.
Morty, thoughts on the game and that opinion?
It's hard to say. Like, you've kind of got this. You've got some great players in that squad, and yeah, they probably do need a big coach. But I don't think Conte would be the man regardless. And I don't know where it would be to go from there. Like they've either got to look at themselves and start trying to build some squad depth up rather than the big names and try and work a squad better. I don't know. I don't know what to say because, I mean, like, yes, we can point out Fred for that goal, but there was no one else with him at the end of the day. I mean, Varane got back and he's a centre back. He ain't the quickest in the team. No one else is chasing back. So
it would be very interesting to see in January if they sign a CDM how much of a difference it makes. Tony and I were speaking the other day on it. It's the one position they need. But do you think if they get, I don't know, Calvin Phillips, for example, does he fix it all of a sudden? It's daisies and whatever. Like you're looking good all of a sudden.
Look, some teams play well with a CDM, some teams play without, but there's certain aspects to a game where, I mean, you had the chances, and like it wasn't so much, then they could have let that goal slide, but you should have already been up 3-0 at that point. So, yeah.
Campo, do you think Cavani and Ronaldo up top together?
Ole tried a bit of rotation, but when you're not in form, you're not in form. Put your best players out in the field. Get some momentum. Start gelling as a team before you start making small rotations in. And it's cost them again in the Premier League. Last week, they drew last week, didn't they?
We lost to Villa.
Oh, that's it. Like, yeah, you go away, you scrape a 95th minute winner against Villarreal. Get that team back out on the field. Get them to beat this under-strength Everton team with no strikers up there. Put them to bed early, then take them off. I just think Ole, I agree, he's not the man for the job. He has no tactics. It's plan A. If it doesn't work, what do we do?
But you look at you're going into the international break. Why wouldn't you have just started Ronaldo? At the end of the day, club football comes first. They can say they're going to get that break. Ronaldo probably will go and play 2 games midweek or whatever they're playing in internationals. But at the end of the day, club football is where you get your money's worth. But yeah, I don't know what needs to change exactly, Tony. I thought they'd be much better off this season, but you're going into a very, very tough run, and this will be obviously make or break for Ole. I think the big issue is though there's not too many managers around that you can bring in mid-season. I mentioned Conte because he's probably the biggest name available. But
you've got Zidane. Zidane's available if you really wanted to go down that path. It's probably more of a future manager than Conte. He'll come in. He'll probably win you a trophy, but you're not going to play very good football.
I think Conte would be signing for a project, whereas Zidane probably would come in for a season or two and win a trophy and leave again. Like I don't think
if Conte comes in, McFred's the first 2 names on that team sheet. Let's be honest. In that 5-3-2, they're the first 2 names on that team sheet.
Might be a manager change. Might turn Fred into a world beater. Who knows? Is he capable?
Fred into a world beater. It's not happening.
But honestly, Tony, do you have any other thoughts on the game? Any of you have any other thoughts on the game? It's obviously a poor result for United at home.
I mean, it's more so just the upcoming fixtures. I think the position we're in, you can look at it and go, yeah, we're fourth. What is it? 2 points off the top of the table, but we're probably going to be, let's be likely double digits behind come the end of this run into December.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, you speak on upcoming fixtures, and Chelsea 3-1 victory over Southampton kicks off our pretty easy run for the next 6, 7, 8 games. So it was a good win. We're made to work hard. I think the first half we completely dominated them. Could have been, apart from VAR, could have been 3 or 4 up within the first 20, 30 minutes. But then, it was a story of the complacency and whatnot, and then they hit back with a penalty, a bit of a silly foul to give away by Chilwell, who I think was probably trying to do a little bit too much, given that he's fighting for his spot. Gives away a pen, Prowse scores as he always does, and then gets a straight red, which I'm going to say is the correct call. I don't know if any of you guys have got any other opinion on that, but I think it's definitely the correct call. And then Werner finally gets his goal. That was great play from Barkley, first and foremost, and then Chilwell does get his goal at the end. So, Morty, what were your thoughts on this one?
Look, at 1-1, I think it was looking like it was going to be a tight game. He's dominated game, but in the EPL, domination means nothing sometimes. The team can park the bus up and shut up shop, but they went down to 10 men and you ended up getting the job done. It just would have been interesting to see if they kept that 11 on the field, how long they'll keep you out for. Like, you've had your chances, yes, and bar this or whatever, but it comes down to putting it away, and you kind of were struggling a bit. I mean, even for that last goal, he's crossbar, post, all sorts of angles, and still managed to scrap it in. So, but at the end of the day, it's 3 points. So, can't be
I think if it was 11 versus 11 towards the end, I don't think we would have gotten a result. Even at 10, when they went to 10 men, I was actually thinking to myself, this is going to be even harder to break them down, because at this point, Southampton would have played for the draw, but they actually didn't park as much as I thought they would. And as I said, Barkley came on, and for a player who was almost kicked out of our squad, he lost his number. He was even left out of the Premier League squad to begin with. He's come in and he's probably one of the first names off the bench now. Provides the spark, little ball over to Aspie, and Werner, as I said, finally gets his goal. So that was good to see. And at that point, obviously, it was game over. But so I'm very happy. I think if we play like that consistently, then it'll be a good few weeks ahead. Campo, what were your thoughts?
Did Big Rom go missing again, or was it just a?
Oh, I wouldn't say he went missing. He scored that goal that was narrowly offside, and then probably should have scored at the very end there where he hit the post before Chilwell. I don't know. It's hard to say. You're obviously not going to call him a flop by any means yet, but what's considered a drought? Like, are we 3 games? Is that a drought? Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, everyone's saying Harry Kane's on the biggest drought of his career after 5 games.
I think the fact that Lukaku started well helps his case. If he hadn't scored a goal from at all now, yes, definitely he's not looking good. But I think the fact that he's scored a couple, we know what he's capable of. And I think now this partnership with Werner could actually build something special. So,
but I agree. It's 100% a red card. I was unlucky on board Prowse. He went for the ball, but just caught. Was it Jorginho on the ankle?
Yep.
Just caught him too high. VAR, correct call. And once again, Southampton. The lack of troops they have. I'll keep saying it. It's going to happen every week. It's going to be a fight every week for them, and it's proved yet again.
Tony, what were your opinion?
Yeah, definitely a red card. I think the biggest issue with the red card is we saw one 2 days prior with De Bruyne. Worse in the Champions League, and it wasn't given a red card. So those are the kind of things when you're not in those top 6, 7 clubs, you're not going to get those calls go your way, and we've seen it again in the space of 3 days. I think as a whole, if you're looking at Southampton, they are only on 4 points. They are 4th last, but they're probably playing the best football of the bottom, probably 6 sides. So I think the teams they've played and the schedule they're going to have and the games they've got coming up, I don't think they're going to be in that relegation battle come Christmas. I think they're going to win a few games. They'll push clear, but at the moment, if you're a Saints fan, it's quite worrying. And on the Lukaku thing, I think teams have just started to get that blueprint. If you muscle up and you don't allow him to turn, that's where he's powerful. Stop him turning, you keep them out of the game.
As you said there, Southampton, they've played both Manchester clubs. They've got both a point off them. Yes, they didn't pick up anything against Chelsea and whatnot, but they're playing decent football. And I think the thing that benefits them the most is the fact that I rate Ralph. I think he's a great manager. So I think you can see when they're on their day, they can produce some good games. I think that's what a few of the other clubs lack. Newcastle, for example, I don't rate Steve Bruce. I think he's average. Norwich, I don't really rate. God, I can't even remember his name. Frankie or something. I think there's a few managers just not as good as Ralph. So I think there'll be enough to stay up at this point. Obviously, it's still early. Speaking about Newcastle, 2-1 defeat to Wolves. Tony, straight back to you. What were your thoughts on this one? Wolves starting to get some wins now.
They're starting to get some wins. They're starting to look a lot better with Traore coming off the bench and Jimenez up top. I don't want to say his name wrong, so I'm just going to say Juan. Obviously bagging some goals. I did give him the player of the week. I thought he was brilliant, not just the 2 goals, but also off the ball. I think he offered a lot more going forward than what Traore used to offer with just pace, blistering forward. So I think for Wolves, one step in the right direction. They're starting to find that lineup that works. Newcastle, like I said a couple of weeks ago, in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, the longer the season goes on without them picking up any points, really, it's going to be a long season. I don't know if they end up sacking their manager. Who knows? Morty, do you think they should be getting rid of Steve Bruce, or what's their problem?
There's many problems at Newcastle, and Steve Bruce is just it's just the long line of problems that just keep amassing over the years. Like, they're a big club, don't get me wrong, but the way they've done business for the past 10 years, it's just small club mentality. And you look at players and, like, we can sit here and say St. Maximum shouldn't be at that club. They should be at a bigger club, and they need to start changing that. They need to bring a manager in. And there's been managers on offer. Like, Steve Bruce showed nothing last year to warrant playing again this season with the managers that came up. And if they want to, play like they're acting like they want to do, they need to do something. But Wolves, back to what they're doing best, I guess. Traore off the bench is where he rose to fame, so you can't basically start a game. So why not bring him on and let him run wild for 25 minutes, 30 minutes, and he does damage then. So,
Campo, are you on the Wolves train? Do you think they've got the goods now? 2 wins on the trot?
Yeah, they're looking better under this manager. They've always played that attacking football, not shy to verse anyone. But again, Newcastle, this game was very poor. It took a freak goal, one of the luckiest goals I've ever seen. The keeper stayed down for about 5 seconds, and then when he finally got up, Jeff Hendrick, it was just an absolute fluke. They didn't deserve to be in that game at all. And Wolves 100% deserve that game.
All right. Finally, Norwich City got their first point of the season away at Burnley. 0 or draw. And if there was ever a game that you'd just look at it and go 0 or draw, it's this one. I don't even know what to say. Like, it's not even a good point for Norwich because at this point, 1 point's not amazing for them. But Burnley, I feel at home, think they probably should have got more from this game. Tony, would you agree?
Yeah. Let's be honest. If you're going into a game against Norwich this year, you're expecting to take 3 points. Quite poor. I don't know. Was it this game where the keeper punched him in the head, the early one, but they should have had the penalty? Was that this game? I believe it was. They've gone up for the header, and he's kind of got his head to it first and copped the punch. And any other game, that's a penalty. However, it wasn't in this game, and I think Burnley are hard done by there. But if you can't score against Norwich, you're going to suffer the same fate that they're going to suffer. And I reckon that's 2 of my bottom teams right there.
Do you think Burnley are not the goods this year? They're not got enough to finally escape relegation again?
I think they're done, to be honest. I think they're done.
Campo, you agree?
It's always too early to count Burnley out now. They'll always shit house a 1-0 here and there. They'll always just scrape through. But I watched the highlights package, and it didn't show me anything. What an absolute awful game. And I hope both these teams go down because they're both shit.
What do you agree with that or what?
It'll be a glorious day when Burnley finally get out of the bloody Premier League. They are literally cancer to the league at some points. Like, come out and draw against Norwich, who anyone on their day, even Arsenal can bloody beat them. And Burnley just seem to rock up against these big clubs and steal points for the fun of it, and just shithouse everything else in the league. They do not deserve to be there. They don't even deserve to be in Championship. Send them down. Send them down to League One.
Well, I don't see them coming back up for a long time if they do go down. They play that stubborn Championship football that doesn't excite you. The likes of Fulham.
Go to Burnley. Who goes, oh yeah, like Burnley sounds like a good club. Mate, no one. I wouldn't even go and tell you a contract.
But
I'd go. I'm there if they offer me a couple million a year. I'm there.
when you look at the likes of Fulham, Bournemouth, West Brom, they're consistently coming back up because they just play that exciting football that works in the Championship. Burnley, I don't think they'll go down and they won't be seen for a while. I don't think they'll Sunderland. They won't go straight 2 relegations in a row.
I hope so.
But it's going to be doom and gloom for Burnley. But look, as we said, both probably going to be around the bottom teams this year. Norwich are only 10 points away now from equaling that record. It's a good point, I suppose, if you look at it that way. But a team that did pick up a good point, about time, Leeds United, 1-0 over Watford. Surprised they kept a clean sheet. Tony, are you surprised as well? Good win.
Yeah, I mean, hey, on the scheme of things, it's a great win for Leeds. They get those 3 points. It helps them a long way, and who knows, it might kickstart them into that momentum that we saw last year when they were battling against the top half of the table. But, I mean, I didn't expect them to keep a clean sheet, but they got their job done, and there's not much else to say about it. Like, they've gone from a team that we used to love watching. It'd be a 5-2 game, even if they lost, or a 5-2, 5-3 win if they won, to a boring 1-0 win, to a boring 1-0 loss. Like, it's just, there's still some issues, but it's a big 3 points for them.
Well, Watford did go out and sack their manager, Isco Munez. Don't really know the reasoning behind it. Don't think they needed to sack him. I think they looked okay. There's big talks that Claudio Ranieri is coming in, which we know what he can do. Can he do the same with Watford as he did with Leicester, Campo? What do you reckon?
No chance. No chance in hell. Leeds absolutely dominated this game, but 20 shots, only 4 on target. It's just not good enough for a Leeds point of view. But they just bullied Watford. Watford didn't even get a sniff this game. And they'll be left scratching their heads considering how bad Leeds' defence is.
Morty, what do you reckon?
That's a good point for Leeds. I think they're just kind of experiencing the weight of a bit of expectation on them. Last year, no one gave them a chance pretty much. I mean, we expected some great games and fun out of them, but no one really expected them to win anything. And now that they come into this season, people have started going, well, they play decent football. They should be getting points. They should be winning. And I think they're just kind of the second-year jitters. I mean, hopefully they hang on and go along. I think this year they've just got to focus on just trying to get together the team and put some decent string of games together because, it's not looking too great for them moving up the top of the field. We all had too much hope.
I don't hope that they hang on.
Of course you don't. What do you reckon about Watford? If Ranieri does come in, is it enough to keep them up? Because that's probably their target at the moment, is just staying up. They're okay. A couple of wins.
I think
They'll
they'll
stay up.
They will stay up comfortably, or
Well, I mean, they'll easily beat Burnley or Norwich or
Southampton.
anyone.
well, Ranieri hasn't done too much since he left Leicester. A couple stints back in Italy and elsewhere, but not done too much. But yeah, he could be the man for Watford. Who knows? If they do offer me 5,000 to 1 odds on Watford winning the Premier League next year, I probably will take it, just given the fact that it's going to happen. Team that's not going to win the Premier League anytime soon, Arsenal, 0 or draw at Brighton.
Jesus.
Give us your thoughts on this one.
Arsenal were very lucky to get away with a point this game. They weren't versing us; they were versing a good side, and they got battered. Again, Auba only gets up for the North London derby. Went missing this game completely. Arsenal did have probably the best chance of the game with Smith Rowe. All he had to do was cut it across to Pepe. Chose to go right, and have a shot at goal and straight at the keeper. But Brighton, all the possession, all the chances. Arsenal, back to square one.
Well, I'd love to know the XG expected goals for Brighton here because I was back to last season for them. It was probably around 3 or 4 mark, I reckon, Tony. Good point for Brighton. Points dropped for Arsenal. What do you reckon?
Well, I think the other way around, to be honest. I think it's a points dropped for Brighton, how they started the season. And for Arsenal, like we said, they got battered and they still got out with a clean sheet. I think it goes to show you that how good Tomiyasu has made that backline. Ben White's come in. I think Tomiyasu, that's his 3rd clean sheet in 4 games or something, or some crazy stat like that since he's been in. If they get their defense right, then it's all about just getting that, I guess you could say, lethal striker. So if that means Aubameyang leaves, Lacazette leaves, and they bring someone in, it goes a long way to say, hey, we can hold out for 90 minutes when we're getting battered. We just need to improve up front so we take our chances.
Yeah, I think there's one thing to obviously note is, like you said, Tomiyasu's come in. That back line since the Ben White, Gabriel pairing, and even Ramsdale coming in, it's been solid. They've only dropped that 1 goal to Spurs last week, bar another three games there. Yeah, clean sheet. So they're forming something. It's better than what it was. I don't see Rob Holding getting anywhere near that backline anytime soon. Callum Chambers probably the same. Pablo Mari. There's a few of them that probably won't see many minutes now. Bar cup games. Morty, what do you reckon? Do you reckon they're all right now at the back?
I mean, say what you will, but Ben White's got more clean sheets than Varane, so
Got less points too, eh? Hey, Morty.
it's fair enough. It's just a cheeky dig. Look, I think we kind of got it a bit wrong with Arsenal signings. I mean, what they've signed has improved the squad. I mean, Ramsdale's come in and he's blitzed it. He saved him this game. He saved him a point, and if that's what they've signed him in for, then good on him. I mean, whether they can hit both those keepers there, probably not. So I think Leno's probably on the way out. But yeah, as Tony said, they're probably a striker and a fit party away from Thomas Party, not a party.
I wasn't sure where you go with that.
Away from just probably doing a bit more damage to teams. I mean, they got battered. They've shown they can hold out. So yeah, a bit more potency up top.
Yeah, we all we laugh at the 30 million they spent on Ramsdale, but at this point in time, it looks like it's 30 million well spent because he's probably kept him in quite a few games. He's had a good start to his career there, so yeah, maybe
we know what happens as the season goes on. The Ramsdale, though, we know what happens.
Situation, don't worry.
He can break his own curse of not getting relegated. Finally, it might be 30 million well spent. Who knows? Who is back above Arsenal this week though? Tottenham. Big win here, Campo, 2-1 over Villa. What are your thoughts on the game?
It shut those idiots up for a week, didn't it? Again, Emi Martinez, he saved us from being 6-1, 5-1. I said last week Dele Alli is a problem. He got dropped this game. No Sanchez. He got dropped. And Skip in that midfield holds that team together. And you just saw Son, a man possess that game. Really turn the screws on Villa. I was saying last night it's going to finish 1-1 because we didn't take our chances. A well-worked goal for their goal. But you saw the fight from our team finally, a bounce back and score straight away after. So I'm happy for once.
Harry Kane, another goalless game for him. What do you reckon? Thoughts? Should he be dropped?
He should have had 3 assists that game. Honestly, he did an outrageous backheel for Gio 1-on-1, and it was the worst strike I've seen in a while. He wasn't the goal scoring threat like he usually is, but he was involved, which he hasn't been for the past few games. So if he's in amongst it, I'll be happy.
I think Kane's one of the strikers, and obviously we know his quality. It's just I feel like it's that one game he needs to break the drought, and then once that happens, the floodgates will open. He's scored goals in Europe so far against part-time plumbers and whoever they're playing. But
He's the only player in history to score a hat trick in the Champions League, Europa League, Conference League. No one else can take that from him.
probably,
Oh, someone will try. Don't worry.
I don't see Ronaldo or anybody going for the accolade, to be honest with you, mate. But yeah, like as I said, I think he's one goal away from getting a bit of form under his belt, and I don't know, maybe can do something. But it's a good win at the end of the day. Like you said, it could have finished 1-1, but you hit straight back afterwards, and yeah, puts you back above Arsenal, puts you back in the mix up there. Tony, what do you reckon about this one? Should Villa have got more? They probably didn't deserve to.
All I know is this is a very happy man for someone less than 12 hours ago wanted Nuno sacked. And then 3 minutes later said he was the best manager on the planet. You're a bit happy today, Campo. Can you explain that?
It's the fact that he must have watched this podcast and heard me say Dele Alli's a problem, Sanchez liability. You know, get these idiots out of the squad and look at us now, on fire.
You say look at us now. You say look at us now. I say let's look at Villa. It's probably one of the worst games they've played in about 5 weeks. Besides that, they had that 10-15 minute period where they did pepper you. They did get that goal. Lovely goal nonetheless. But besides that, like you said, if it wasn't for Emmy, this game's 6-7, 8-1. Like, they were atrocious that game. And it's not the Villa that we've seen the last couple of weeks.
Morty, you agree with what Tony's saying there?
Yeah, it's hard to remember. Martinez, he's a freaking goal, and it would be surprising if someone's not after him next year, even though people don't need him. But we've seen clubs willing to just sign for the fun of it. So, yeah, Tottenham.
What do you think Emmy goes for if they were to sign, if some club wanted him? What do you think Arsenal want for him? Sorry, not Arsenal. Villa.
20 mil they wanted.
Well, they want Arsenal wanted for him.
I think 40. I'd say. I mean, he's proven like he's not just doing it for he's done it in the big games, and yeah, I mean, with that defense in front of him, imagine putting a decent defense in front of him, he'd be clean sheets all round, Golden Glove almost. So he's made the most saves I think just so far in the Premier. He missed 2 weeks. So yeah, Tottenham, they still worry me. I don't know, but like Son played his heart out. Morning from what I saw in the highlights, and Kane, yeah, can say he almost had 3 assists, but he clearly says he doesn't have so many assists. So we move on, and yeah, I mean, you sit here and say that a few players change the squad, and I sit here and say, well, you're one injury away from losing every game again. So
I think it goes to show that Son is the most important player in this team right now. Still,
He's got that big money contract.
Yeah, if he forms that partnership with Kane again, we could see some good stuff happening there.
On Martinez, though, I don't see him going for less than 60 million. If I'm being honest, you look at what the big keepers have gone for when they have been in form.
Kepa goes to 71.
Like even like when David De Gea, when that speculation came around, that he was going to go to Madrid. Emmy's kind of in a similar form to what he was, and he's only 29 years old. He's got 4, 5, 6 years still in him if he stays at this level. He just won the Copa America, so that's going to add value to his price tag. I don't think you're getting him for any less than 60.
I just think that the clubs that can afford 60 for a keeper are already pretty settled with their roster. I mean, you look at PSG and you look at Navas, who probably starts for half of the rest of Europe, and he's sitting on the bench to Donnarumma. Like, I don't see
Barca's conceding for fun. Real Madrid's losing games for fun. Like,
yeah, but again, they probably wouldn't be clubs that would be going to swap their keeper. Like they spent money on Courtois and even Ter Stegen, so I don't feel like they're not going to.
Yeah, my 60 million keeper isn't going to fix their defense. So
I personally think Emmy's happy there. I think he might stay there for quite a while. I
don't think he'll leave. If he does, though, it's going to be.
Yeah, definitely if he does. But I think he's doing a good job there. I think he's found a home that appreciates him, unlike what Arsenal did. So I don't know. I think it's all good there. As I said, he's in the Copa America squad. He's playing for Argentina now. He's starting games. So happy man. You're playing with Danny Ings one day and then the next with Messi. So can't playing too much. All right, moving forward. West Ham, another loss after a win in Europe. We did say, is Europe going to take a toll on them? Turns out they're killing Europe, but then they go and lose back-to-back games afterwards. 2-1 loss here. 2-1 loss here to Brentford. Brentford stealing it right at the death there. Tony, what do you reckon?
That's a typical West Ham performance. You think, okay, they've got that goal, they're going to go on for it, they're pushing for an equaliser, and then they forget they've actually got to defend up the other end, and a cross comes in, an awkward header clearance, and no one's there as the guy puts it in the back of the net. And you know what? Hey, I've become a big fan of Brentford this year, the way they've been playing, the way they've been grinding out results. And if it wasn't for a 90th minute winner for Brighton back in, I think it was game week 1, they'd be undefeated, or 2, sorry. They'd be undefeated. So fair play to them.
These two results after European football, United, they lost 2-1 to, had a penalty 95th minute. They score that and they win this game without, a bit of lose there. And they're almost top of the table. So they're sitting all right, but I think they do need to evaluate their European troubles. They're obviously doing well there. They'll probably advance through the group stages, but at the end of the day, Premier League is more important for a club like this, and they probably want to get European football again next season before worrying about winning Europa League. Campo, what do you reckon?
I don't get the point of. I get why you focus on the Prem, but if you just go into the Europa League just to fold every year, there's no point. They do lack another striker. Antonio looks a bit tired after playing back to back. But again, West Ham, this is probably the worst start they've had all season. Very, very slow. Brentford made them pay. They got to half-time, and then, West Ham actually started to turn the screws. And then it wasn't until the 80th minute they got their deserved equaliser. And again, 94th minute, they fell asleep and they got punished. So Brentford, lucky to get away with the win there, but they deserve it off their performance.
Just shows, we keep saying it, same as Sheffield United, they're picking up some valuable points now. And I know Brentford haven't played a lot of the big boys yet, but they're getting the early points, and that's what separates you from these relegation clubs. So I don't see them being in trouble at all, because they're playing for the fans. They've got a coach who believes in them. It's just, it's happy days at Brentford, and it's exciting to watch them. Everybody's, underdog team, I suppose, in a way. You want to see them succeed after so long away from the top flight. It's looking good for them. West Ham, as we said, it's probably a win. They should have probably won this game, but points dropped. Morty, what do you reckon? Do you agree with what Campo said there?
Yeah, I think props to the coach. I mean, Brentford don't look like they're playing the same way every week, and they kind of they're playing to a game plan that they've been given out and that they're executing. So I think props to the coach, because they've come out multiple weeks now playing different styles, just playing whatever that coach needs, obviously, and they're making it work. So good on them, and I'll be very eager to see how much Tony goes for at the end of the season, because I think they'll be struggling to keep him.
Yeah, I won't make a move being Tony for
How much you going for, Tony?
at least 100 mil.
It would have been interesting to see if they did keep a hold of Ollie Watkins a few years ago. Him and Ivan Toney up top together in the Prem would have been interesting, but because obviously he's doing well at Villa, but we don't get to witness that anymore. Another coach who I suppose you can give credit to this week, Patrick Vieira. Campo, you won't, but 2 subs off the bench, 2 goals, 2-2 draw with Leicester. Campo, do you want to? You're not going to give any props to Patrick Vieira, obviously, but what were your thoughts on the game?
One of the most undeserving points Leicester have ever gotten.
Okay.
You had us in the first half there.
It took 2 mistakes from their new centre-back, Anderson, to set them back 2-0 down after they were dominating that game. Leicester are really in the mud right now, but to throw that game away after 2-0 up, Crystal Palace deserved that win. They did. They were the better team all game. 2 mistakes cost them 2 goals, but the fight in that team right now, they're always going to be in the mix regardless of the scoreline.
Yeah, it's definitely not the greatest start for Leicester. Obviously we say we're still early days, but they haven't had that many difficult fixtures this year, and they still haven't picked up probably as many points as they'd like. They probably like to be sitting in the European spots right now, in my opinion. And whether or not Europe's taking a toll on them, will Brendan Rodgers get the sack, Morty? I don't know. But they're not looking great. Vardy's still scoring though, however old he is, 31, 32. So credit to him. But Morty, what were your thoughts on this one?
As Campo said, Leicester look in trouble. I mean, it took Palace's 2 mistakes for them to even have the chances, and they're just lucky to have a potent striker in Vardy up top, because he's only had one shot and 1 goal, and they make it work. So Vieira's come in. I mean, Palace look like they've turned a corner. I mean, they're not looking like world beaters, but they're looking like a team with a bit more consistency in them and a bit more heart. I mean, we've seen Palace over the years that just kind of just trouble off. They get the points they need and fall away to nothing by the end of the season. So it'll be interesting to see if they keep it up.
Tony, do you agree with that?
Yeah, it's pretty much said. Leicester's in trouble. They're not in trouble. They're not going down, let's be honest, but they're struggling to win games at the moment. They're struggling to play a full 90 minutes. Trust me, I know how that feels, so it's fine. Just one question, actually interesting, because I've had it come up in one of the United group chats I'm in. If Rodgers gets a sack, do United make a play for him? Or even if he doesn't get the sack, do they try and persuade him to come across? He can rebuild a club. We've seen that. Yes, they're struggling this year, but for a few years they were up there. Do they make a pitch?
Yeah, it's definitely shouting. I mean, Morty will hate him even more, so why not? He's a class manager at the end of the day. Like, he's shown what he can do. I think it could be a manager that they would go for. He's Premier League proven. He knows what he's doing. Do you think, Tony, if Leicester miss out on European football this year, is that a poor season for them, given the way they've built the club over the past few years?
Are we talking Champions League, Europa League, or are we talking they miss, like, because if they make Conference League, I feel that's a massive bad season for them, regardless.
You would say they need to make a Europa League at least to have
Europa League minimum for a team like how they've been playing the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
We forget that, that they were the underdog a few years ago, but the money they've been put into that club and some of the signings they're making now, like, they're not small signings no more. They're making $25, $30 million signings. And
the thing is, if I say top six to someone, it's no longer an Arsenal thinking in the top six. You're saying Leicester. Leicester's in there with the big boys. That's what you're putting up there these days.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. All right. Speaking of the big boys, though, the final game of the rounds, what are you going to let you run away with it? 2-2 between Liverpool and City. Probably the game of the season so far. Yeah. What were your thoughts on it?
We started very, very slow. I mean, that first half we got dominated and we were very lucky to not be down at the halftime. City looked like they were just turning the screws and playing along, but I think it came to bite them in the arse come second half. I mean, we kind of just walked up, turned it around, and we grabbed the goal. I mean, we talk about, left back and right backs that can't defend. I mean, Cancelo didn't show me much this game, and we're talking about him being one of the better ones. Just being honest. I mean, he was that far up the pitch that no one mentioned it otherwise, but like he's just as much as Trent would be, and he didn't even track back half the time. He made some awkward lunges and almost cost him the goal.
Talking about Trent, should his replacement still be on the pitch, Morty? Can we just have a quick word on that?
Yeah, but at the same time, the Bernardo Silva should be off the pitch 5 minutes later anyway. So
no, we're not talking about Bernardo Silva. I want your little call on Milner's tackle first.
I mean, maybe not. It's a bit hard.
Do you think that's a red card or second yellow?
I think, if some of the challenges that hadn't already been made that game, I think probably, but some of the stuff that was let go, I mean, I think that was what shaping up the game was, and the ref was pretty consistent along the lines of that. So,
could you imagine if that was Harry Maguire and that was his second yellow, got away with it? Could you imagine Morty on this podcast today? Oh boy,
it's fair enough. I mean, it was an awkward lunge, and he probably could have been, but it's hard. I mean, we couldn't get him off quick enough after that, and I think his age sort of showed a bit. I mean, he was prime back then, but I think it showed. I think this game would have been a lot different if we had Trent there. I mean, probably not as more defensively sound, but if you watch the first half, Foden didn't have to move. He didn't have to go anywhere. Milner was just in the back line. Foden basically walked the whole time, and he was fresh as a daisy come second half, and he really turned it on. But, Salah, the one-man army, I mean, I don't know how he scored that second goal. Like, I look at it, and the bloke's facing his own goal box from outside the 18 yards and beat about 7 people to get that goal in. So, props to him. He's a freak. We should be giving whatever he's asking at the moment. And
it's definitely potential goal of the season for sure. It's solo brilliance, crazy. Bernardo Silva in the first half did something similar, played in full Foden and probably should have scored as well. Would have been probably assist of the season. Is it a good point? Keeps you undefeated. At home to the champions, you probably take it.
I'm happy with the point. I mean, it's not like we're giving up anything. I mean, take 2 points taken off them, and they've already lost their points this season. So I think shaping up throughout time won't be too disheartening. I mean, if this was, both of us undefeated going 1 point each, I think it'd probably be a loss for both of us. But I think both teams can be happy walking away with 1 point each of this game. So,
Tony, do you agree, or do you think at Anfield you should be winning?
Oh, I mean, obviously at Anfield, most Liverpool fans, most neutral fans are going to think Liverpool are going to win majority of games. But when you come up against a team in City where what they considered one goal up until this morning's game, you've doubled how many goals they've conceded this year in the league. So it was never going to be an easy game. Obviously, Trent, as much as we take the piss out of him for how he plays defensively and he's always forward, he offers that much more to that attack and those crossings. So he was a big loss. And I'd go as far as saying if Trent's in that game, they probably win that game.
Do you think the Rodri at the end there, that block could prove vital in the champions race? Does Fabinho need to do better there? Obviously, he's not expecting it to really come to him at all. It takes a heavy touch. But is that enough? That's enough to win a league right there. They say goals win you games, but blocks win them just as much.
I think we saw it when City won the league against Liverpool when it was, 0.15 or whatever it was, that little couple millimeters.
2 millimeters.
Yeah, 2 millimeters. Those big fins where that was a save, or cleared off the line, sorry, this was a block. Come the end of the season, if they win the league by 1 point, that's what you're going to look at.
Agree, Campo?
I agree. It could come back to bite Liverpool, but again, questions have to be asked. If City have an out-and-out striker, a proper number 10, they probably win this game quite comfortably.
Just give it Harry Kane. Stop being petty. Just give him to him.
I'm trying to save the league here. They probably do win that comfortably with an actual striker. But, for Liverpool to be at home to only have 6 shots all game, again, they got dominated first half and they were lucky, to be going in level. But I think Liverpool will be the happier taking away a point because it was a very ruthless performance from City and it took a wonder goal to really help Liverpool that game.
Sorry, you go.
Just on that, them not having a striker, I think it honestly benefited in this game because they looked like they were just running like 7 attacking mids at us, and the centre backs didn't know who they were marking at one point because they'd be having Foden running one way and then KDB running back at them, and then the next lot will come around, and then Sterling came on, and they were just running in and out, and I think that's probably Pep's game plan. But yeah, whether that's actually going to work in the long run is a different story. So, but I think
you're right. I think when Liverpool coming up against especially big strikers, Van Dijk probably loves that. He loves someone who just knows he has to mark and can pocket at times. Him and Matip did well against Lukaku. So I think, coming up with a striker against Liverpool is a tough game plan. Yeah, maybe Pep got it right with his little, attacking mid options. Just on that again, Ferran Torres killed it to start the season. Hasn't really been seen since Phil Foden's come back in from injury. And look, I completely rate Phil Foden, and Pep clearly does as well. So he should be starting, but should Jack Grealish be getting dropped, putting Foden on the left and giving Ferran Torres his minutes again? Because, like I said, he was scoring goals to start the season, so why is he all of a sudden getting dropped and not seeing minutes? Tony, what do you reckon?
Oh, I think it's just Foden was injured. Let's be honest, if we came into the start of the season, we always thought Foden was going to be up there. We always thought he was going to be the one that was going to start. I think Torres benefited from the fact that he was injured, but he's going to be a world-class player if he keeps going the way he's going. And unfortunately for Torres, you're stuck behind him.
I suppose you just got to take your opportunities elsewhere, don't you, in the Cup and Champions League.
The Champions League, once they've already gone through, for example.
And just, I suppose, you look at that, like the bench there, Raheem Sterling was the only one to come on, but they have Ferran Torres and Riyad Mahrez as well. So there's plenty of attacking players there, but like they're just lacking that one out and out striker. So yeah, it's interesting. Anybody else got some final thoughts on that game before we wrap this up? It was an absolute cracker end the round, that's for sure. And yeah, one of the games of the season so far.
I think it shows you on form. Best two teams in the comp. Yes, Chelsea's playing well, but the style of play the last couple of weeks, best two teams in the comp.
Yeah.
I just want you to say the line, Aaron. Just say the line.
Say it.
No,
Say
you're not
it.
getting it. I
Say
don't know. You've already had
Say it.
someone else-
It's
you've
already
already had someone else in the group chat say it.
I'm not ending the stream until you say it now. So,
Go back and look at my Instagram story. You'll see me say top of the league. Go
There we go.
The international break breaks the curse. Don't you worry.
It doesn't. It definitely doesn't.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. We'll see you in probably a couple of weeks or whenever it is. We'll try to get a video before then. Yeah, we'll see you again later.
see you, boys.